Tashi Delek, everyone. Welcome to the Ngöndro teachings. So we'll start with the opening prayers and then Dudjom Tersar Ngöndro, and then requesting the teachings, prayers, and so forth. So please bring in mind, first of all, the precious motivation of the Bodhicitta, that we want to bring all motherly sentient beings whose number pervade the vastness of space to the state of perfect and complete Buddhahood. Okay.
ye yu ye no jang sama e pema ke sara endombo shanzen chogi ngöndro nye pema june shiro odo e
Kordo
kandro e
Kandro
nambu
Mambe
ko e jije
Jeke
jesu
Jesu
taro
Landro
jinje
Jinge
labje
Labje
shesu
Shesu Se
guru
Guru
pema
Bema
se de
Siddhi. I think it's page 62 now. The 7 branch prayers, is it? Yeah? It's before that one, before the mandala. 59, okay. Page 59. Dorje lomben sangye pen desum jolai chansen lo chosum tembe shingjuro lai nime yeke jamsu ngejuro yeke namdru ben dabe cheba shesu se ngudro cho chebe ge neje malu shambarage chochu korusum dabe che ma cha che la je ye ran da be ta je je ma me zo be jang chu sem ge do de she wang chu sem ba la da ba sum ge le be che ran jang be ge wan nam de ne jang chu cho tu mandala offering. Sanjin be chun ju jin me don dram re rap le je ne de gen bai de san ge shin do me de pe wa ye dro gun nam da shin lai chen bara sho idam guru radha mandala kam niryatayami. You have to learn to make the mandala mudra. Okay, this is the mandala. Mandala, remember? Yeah, like that. Now you are learning to do the ngöndro, so you have to also learn to make the mandala mudra. As you weave your fingers together, the ring fingers go back to back. The little fingers are held by the thumb, and then the middle finger is held by the index finger like this. Now you can take some grains of rice or petals of flowers like that. Now prayers requesting the teachings. Simjen namke sambadan loye chendra cheta war chechon tunmo tebai chege korlo korodo sam Dudjom Sangye Tamje Gingu Rigdan Kilkor Jansa Chamda Kadrin Sunda Mache Badrin Chensave Lami Shamke Pema Duljima Mebala Gosum Geba Chamber Chancel Chain Chapsu Chu Chinge Lambar Zendo San Tembala Me Sangye Rimboche Chobala Me Damche Rimboche Tembala Me Geden Rimboche Chamne Kunjo Sumla Chancelo Tabke Tuje Shakcha Risu Chinge Metu Dige Pon Sergel Humbo Dabur Jibengo Shachen Gembo Shamla Chancelo Palden Soni Chudra Sobale Kense Ye Karange Sandro Charbeb Ganshen Kedro Yonke Tsujen Soke Dorje Drovel Lama Dul Lama Dangombo Jetsen Jambe Yang La Chancelo Kange Lobdre Drimden Dendren Netaranamda Rasewe Chenne Dingun Jishing Sikshen Nike Tokaralek Bamzin Landa Sipe Tenral Marik Mintum Dunge Gizewe Droso Konla Bochek Tarsayan La Drucho Yang Den Song Dru Tarchadronian Monin Leke Chadro Dredzeche Mare Munsa Dunge Nyugo Jine Chedze Radrenam Dene Dakshen Sacho Tarsen Yenden Lezo Gese Tue Go Chota Chodan Chune Gentre Daglo Munsel Chamber Yang La Raptu Di Omara Bazana Di Omara Bazana Di Omara Bazana Di Omara Omara Bajana Dede 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 Zenden Keke Kenrai Vesarike Dalu Timoman Barasen Kada Denje Shunlo Tobayin Lodre Bombe Nawa Zendo San Chugo Gondo Sambo Gombayi Dorje Semba Garab Dorje Shiri Singhe Bardu Jinla Dede Dhamma Jenda Dadesumgi Dzogchen Jube Lama La Sewande Wense Rizinu Dendor Jetzel Mawon Deshe Meba Tayasham Tata Bejun Getsa Drobenge Jigdre Yeshe Dorje La Sewande Sange Kunge Chime Pemaju Shingder Jube Tsen Long Chenje Gangi Yangse Chinle Norbo La Sewa Depso Dreme Chingel Choge Lama Namge Gelsabdo Wangur Lonzin Chome Shendenje Bebe Nerjor Kundan Zochem Sange Dorje Shabla Sewande Ome Chege Inge Podana Desum Sanje Kungingo Nedrang Sem Chegongon Sunten Sawe Lame Shabla Sewande Neluk Toba Kewara Jinje Lo Leg Brashe Baba Bake Dusal Namkada Nyambe Semjen Tamjen Namken Dengi Dewa Lana Machiba Yanda Brazope Janchurin Bach Chine Jan Tovar Jadi Chedo Chezamodini Suljindu Sente Ten Yamsu Lembragyo Nyamba Samba Jachewa Janchu Sumge Kulondan Tabje Chowa Sanga Ke Kulonde Kulon number ni Seldab Desembarshu. So please bring in mind the precious motivation of the Bodhisattva. We call the vast aspiration of the Bodhisattva, thinking to bring all motherly sentient beings to the state of perfect and complete Buddhahood. I will listen to these profound teachings and bring forth the understanding of the meaning of these profound teachings and thereby engage in my life. And also bring in the skillful method of the secret tantra, and then cultivate the conduct what you need to, and abandon the conduct that you need to abandon. So all of those conducted appropriately. Please listen to the teachings. We are here listening to the Dudjom Tersar Ngöndro, commentary by our beloved Lama Tarchen Rinpoche. So it's very concise and to the pith point. So we are using Rinpoche's commentary. We are now on the 4th chapter, and this is the part on Bodhicitta. So, developing the mind of awakening. While refuge is the essence of the Hinayana path, Bodhicitta practices the essence of the Mahayana path. It means great awakened attitude and has 2 dimensions. So, in general Buddhist tradition, we have the Theravadin or the Hinayana path, which the essence of the path is refuge, or taking refuge or entering into the path. And also we say in order for refuge to take place, then we need to understand samsara and then generate renunciation, the altruistic thought or the inspiration that one aspires to free from samsara. So when you have that thought of renunciation, then refuge takes place in you. When refuge takes place within your mind stream, then you have properly entered into the Buddha path. So now Bodhicitta is the essence of the Mahayana path. The essence of the Bodhisattva is to accomplish the benefit of all beings. Earlier when we were saying the essence of the Hinayana path is renunciation, also we can say the essence of renunciation is to uproot the harm of all beings, or uproot the harm for oneself and others. So that is renunciation. So it's not just like being a monk, shaving your head, dress in the maroon robes and those kind of things, but in fact to bring the essence of uprooting the cause of harm for oneself and others. So in Bodhicitta, the essence is to accomplish the benefit of all beings, to accomplish the source of benefit for oneself and others. That is Mahayana. Okay, it means great awakened attitude, and it has two dimensions. First, the first, relative bodhicitta. It is the great beam of compassion. And second, absolute bodhicitta. And it means it is great openness and emptiness. When you have attained true realization, these two are inseparable because the essence of emptiness is compassion. So how do we enter, or how do we cultivate bodhicitta is cultivating the relative bodhicitta. And the relative bodhicitta also has two aspects here. Relative bodhicitta has two aspects. These are aspirational bodhicitta and engaged bodhicitta. In the Shantidevas entering into the path, entering into the conduct of Bodhisattva, it mentions the aspirational bodhicitta is like the aspiration or the wish to go to a place. An engaged bodhicitta is then drawn through that aspiration, then taking the steps to get to that destination. So aspirational bodhicitta is the wish to bring all beings to the state of Buddhahood, and engaged bodhicitta is engaging in the six perfections or any conduct or speech or thoughts to accomplish that aspiration. Aspirational bodhicitta is the wish that all sentient beings attain Buddhahood, that they be released from suffering and never be separated from happiness. Aspirational bodhicitta includes the four immeasurable attitudes. First, loving kindness. Second, compassion. Third, joy. And fourth, equanimity. So, loving kindness, I think Rinpoche explains here. Loving kindness is the thought that may all sentient beings have happiness and the cause of happiness. So, if you want to essentialize that one. Compassion is may sentient beings be free from suffering and the cause of suffering. And then joy or sympathetic joy is may sentient beings never part from happiness that is free from suffering, like that. And equanimity is may sentient beings abide or remain in impartiality, free from desire to their loved ones and hate toward their toward their enemies, those kind of things. So that is equanimity. When we count, we say loving kindness, compassion, joy, and equanimity. But when we actually engage in the practice, we start from equanimity, because right now we have this habit of near and far, who are close, who are not close, and so on and so forth. In order for us to train in bodhicitta, we need to eliminate that habit of ours, like who is close and who is not close. For example, when we say cultivating bodhicitta is to cultivate love for each and every sentient beings. When we say sentient beings encompass all those beings who have mind, and the numbers of sentient beings equal to space. So as in the teachings mentioned, if we have if we opt out one person from samsara, saying I don't care for this person if he or she doesn't attain awakening of Buddhahood, then that is not compassion. That is, you don't have bodhicitta, because you are living out one. Or if your love or compassion does not include someone who is suffering, and then you don't care of that person's suffering or to eliminate that person's suffering, that compassion is not boundless or immeasurable. So that is not bodhicitta. So in order to practice in such way, first we need to start from equanimity, transcending or getting rid of our thought of close and far and so forth. So meditating upon equanimity means recognizing all sentient beings as equal in nature. This attitude must be generated in order to develop Bodhicitta. To prevent a biased and partial view, always begin your practice by meditating on equanimity. Our biased focus is caused by our minds creating limiting concepts such as friend and enemy or like and dislike. So just as we said, this biased focus perpetuates dualistic phenomena which are synonymous with samsara. If we limit our ability to perceive all beings as equal, how can we develop the vast and directionless attitude of loving kindness, compassion, and joy for all sentient beings? So that essentializes that. So the root of the problem is dualistic mind. The mind which constantly chooses sides, separates friends from enemies, and rejects or accepts others. In truth, there is no reason to create these limited concepts. We have to recognize that all sentient beings have already been in every conceivable relationship with us. They have been our parents, our friends, and our enemies. At this moment, they may be our enemies, yet we have already determined that everything is impermanent. So it is very possible that in the future, our enemies will again become our friends. So this is how we practice. Bodhicitta is very profound. It's in the teaching is mentioned. We need to generate this concept that each and every beings have been our parents. And of course, we can kind of conceive that each and every, since we have taken countless numbers of lifetimes, that we can kind of think that these beings might have been our parents. But in the teachings mentions that even one person having been our mother, if you were to count, it becomes countless. So you kind of make a big dough of this earth, and then you roll into pellets or like small balls, and then you kind of count that this particular person was my mother in this lifetime, and then in another lifetime this person was another mother of mine. And if you can't start to count like that, it is said that the dough will run out, but the counting of that person having been your mother is uncountable. So therefore, this is the concept of Bodhicitta. This is the kind of principle of practicing Bodhicitta. So therefore, we should regard all sentient beings as our parents. When we see them as our parents, then we appreciate their kindness, or we remember their kindness, and then we think of the gratitude and think of repaying their kindness and so forth. So this is how Bodhicitta kind of takes place in our practice. Within the larger perspective, while enemies are considered to bring harm, they can also help. Through their kindness, they can point out our faults. By honestly examining what they say, we may find some truth. If someone tells the truth, then why be angry or reject them? By recognizing and accepting our faults, we gain the qualities of wisdom. This is also what a teacher does for us. The teacher's job is to point out faults and show ways of removing them. This is the way to achieve wisdom. So begin your meditation by establishing the even-mindedness, or even-minded meaning, mind settled in equanimity. Of equanimity, which produces the ability to love without limit or direction. As I mentioned earlier in the teachings mentioned, if we kind of remove one being, like if you say, I don't think of this particular person because I hate him or her so much that this person might not let her not attain Buddhahood, and if you remove that person out, then that is not bodhicitta. That's not great compassion. That's not great loving kindness. So therefore we need to practice in this way, that we include each and every beings without limit or direction. Recognize how much these beings have helped and loved you in the past. The desire to return their loving kindness naturally unfolds. See, when we in the Bodhicitta or the Bodhisattva training, it is mentioned that first take your mother of this life and how she had undergone all the pain and hardships, first giving birth or carrying us in her womb like that, and then she underwent the tremendous pain and all the hardships in giving birth and so on and so forth, and then carrying us, loving us, nurturing us, and so on and so forth like that. So when we kind of reflect on that, then we think and appreciate, and then we think in our heart that how could I repay my love or her kindness like that. So the desire to return their loving kindness naturally unfolds. Also in the teaching it is mentioned that because this principle of seeing each and every sentient beings as a mother is recognized or is known, it's planted in our mind, and then that from that point of view, then it is said, when my mothers are suffering, it's mentioned, what use is my happiness when I see my mothers who had been my mothers for countless lifetimes suffering? So therefore, in order to undertake to achieve the happiness or long-lasting happiness for all sentient beings is the conduct of the Bodhisattva. So like that. Okay. The attitude of loving kindness is the result of recognizing that all sentient beings have been our parents at some time during our countless rebirths. They have given us a body and taken care of us. Think of their kindness, feel their love, and in turn evoke a genuine loving feeling for them. Meditate on those who have been most kind to you in this life. They are the same as all beings who have been with you in past lifetimes. Create equal loving kindness for all beings as you recognize their gift. If someone is this kind, then you have to return their kindness. You can repay them by truly giving rise to an attitude of immeasurable loving kindness. And that's how we to practice. So, someone who had been kind to you, would you ever kind of generate that may he or she never be happy? That kind of thoughts will never arise, because someone who has loved you, you always think that may he or she be always happy. So that is loving kindness. So not just one person, but we apply this to all sentient beings. That's why the word for loving kindness is, may all sentient beings have happiness and the cause of happiness. So that is the essence. So first you practice equanimity, after that loving kindness. Of course, in order to train that, you use your mother of this life like that, and then next you move on to like 2%, 3%, 4, and like that, and then your loving kindness kind of encompasses, so that it pervades all sentient beings. So that is how we practice. So now the next is compassion. Now generate immeasurable compassion for all beings. They have no idea what causes their suffering, and at the same time, their only desire is for happiness. Sentient beings have no idea what the difference between virtuous and non-virtuous actions is, and therefore continuously create more negative karma. Through ignorance and out of desire for happiness, everything they do not only creates more and more suffering. The wish that all beings be freed from suffering arises naturally and spontaneously from contemplating the suffering of others and its causes. So, sentient beings want happiness, but then they have no clue what brings happiness. They desire happiness, but they conduct in actions, speeches, and thoughts that only bring about suffering. So then, how pitiful. That's how you generate compassion. That's how sentient beings' nature is, that they want happiness, but they have no idea how to attain or how to experience happiness, but they only engage in non-virtue, which only brings about suffering. So then you say, how wonderful it would be to see all sentient beings be free from suffering and be free from the causes of suffering. So that is great compassion. Recognize how inconceivably great their suffering is, and have mercy on these poor sentient beings who have no idea how to escape this endless cycle. Give rise to a feeling of infinite compassion for them. Realize how lucky you are to have met a path with the potential to lead you out of this cycle. So all to the point here, this is how we need to do. And then, of course, if you want to practice more in detail, always use the words of my perfect teacher. There's a very extensive exercise or meditation or training in cultivating all of these four immeasurables. Now the last is sympathetic joy or joy. Generate joy is, again, you say, may all sentient beings never part from happiness that is free from suffering. That is sympathetic joy. So Bodhicitta is to bring happiness for all sentient beings and to eliminate or to bring the end of suffering for all sentient beings. So when we see sentient beings happy, then we always make this aspiration, may their joy never come to an end. That is joy, that is sympathetic joy. Generate an immeasurable feeling of joy as you reflect on the good qualities of other sentient beings. For example, someone who has good looks, someone who has status, someone who has good fortune, and so forth. Rather than being envious or jealous, then you always think that may their happiness may it even flourish or blossom like beyond limits like that. So that's how we need to cultivate joy. Acknowledging their happiness, feel joyous for them. Make a wish that they may attain Buddhahood. So that's how in sympathetic joy, that the wish for them to attain Buddhahood or that happiness that never changes, that should be there. Try to see the positive qualities in others, developing the wish then positive qualities increase even more and that others would emulate them, others would copy them. Meditate on a person who has wonderful attributes and then expand that observation to include the wish that all beings could have those same wonderful characteristics. Pray for these qualities to grow and increase in all beings. With the same motivation, wish that all beings never be separated from supreme happiness of Buddhahood and the causes of that happiness. Then pray that sentient beings be permanently separated from suffering and the causes of suffering, and that then experience supreme happiness utterly beyond any suffering whatsoever. Then reflect on the positive feelings that arise when we know that sentient beings are without suffering and meditate on this joyfulness. These are the four immeasurables. So, aspirational bodhicitta is this four thoughts. So we say that may sentient beings awaken to Buddhahood, or may sentient beings be free from this. This is the aspiration. So if we have that aspiration, we have the if we have these four thoughts, then we have the aspirational aspect of bodhicitta. And then whatever we do, we work toward accomplishing these aspirations. So to bring the end of suffering for all sentient beings, to accomplishing the happiness of all sentient beings, to see that the happiness never comes to an end, and then always remaining in impartiality or equanimity, like that. So this is how we say, how we kind of first make the aspiration. We bring these to our lips, and we sincerely intend that, and constantly work toward accomplishing that motivation or intention. So we now moved how we can accomplish that. So it's called practical bodhicitta or engaged bodhicitta. Engaged bodhicitta is the action of actual accomplishment of bodhicitta. Aspirational bodhicitta is similar to wishing that someone had $1,000. But engaged bodhicitta is similar to going out to earn $1,000 with the intention of giving it to someone. So the only way you can truly help sentient beings is to attain Buddhahood. Only then will you have the power to create some lasting benefit for others. So engaging bodhicitta or practical bodhicitta is fulfilling that aspiration now. So then here comes the 6 paramitas, the 6 perfections also. The action of engaged bodhicitta is the practice of the 6 paramitas or 6 transcendent perfections. We will talk more about perfections as we come up now, but generosity is the first one. Generosity, or the giving of material things. This means the giving of Dharma, giving of protection, and saving of lives. So generosity is divided, called the lesser, the medium, and the greater. So lesser is all of possession and so forth. A greater is whatever we possess, for example, our spouse, our children, and so forth. Even renouncing that, that's the medium kind of generosity. And then greater is like, even being able to give up our lives in order to protect and save others. So that's a great generosity. But then transcendent generosity is to go beyond the concept that I am a bodhisattva, practicing generosity, making this offering of generosity to sentient beings, like that. If you have the notion, this is all conceptual. So conceptual generosity is worldly generosity. In order for it to become the paramitas or the perfection, then we need to transcend that concept. So we need to bring forth the wisdom of emptiness. So emptiness of I being the practitioner of generosity, sentient beings the recipient of generosity, and these things as the objects of generosity, and so forth. So when that happens, then that bodhisattva attains the first level, the first bhumi. And also because since they have seen that emptiness, the view of seeing true nature starts from that point on. In the graduation path of the bodhisattva, we say the path of seeing. The path of seeing is seeing the truth, seeing the true nature of phenomena. So when their generosity is beyond concept, when their generosity is a reason from realizing great emptiness, that is called the path of seeing. So, and that becomes the transcendent generosity. And then within this generosity, there's the generosity of Dharma, generosity of teaching Dharma, the path of the Dharma teachings, and then protecting lives, saving lives, and then benefiting others, and so on and so forth. All those fall into generosity. The second paramita is morality or discipline, or the accumulation of virtuous actions, the abstention from non-virtuous, meaning to renounce non-virtuous actions, and the motivation to always benefit others. So morality is discipline, or here the second one is discipline, and while practicing discipline, then again bringing forth the understanding that I, who is the practitioner of discipline, is empty. This practice of discipline is emptiness. And likewise, this which needs to be guarded, which needs to be abandoned, and so forth, are also empty, and so forth. When that is realized, then that discipline becomes transcendent discipline, transcendent paramita, like that. Third is patience. Patience in practice, patience with others, and patience when listening to Dharma. And patience, we say, patience to endeavor, like to struggle or to overcome the hardships and the struggles. Patience to overcome, like, whatever, even if harm and so forth, and problems and troubles befall on us, then we are able to endure them and go past beyond. And patience of, there is one patience called patience of profound emptiness. These profound emptiness is understanding the true nature of phenomena, that phenomena lack intrinsic reality. That's called the patience of profound emptiness, like that. So those are all patience. Again, practicing patience, if you have concept that I am the one who is practicing patience, and so on and so forth, then that kind of patience is worldly patience. So that cannot take us anywhere, that cannot transcend samsara. So realizing emptiness of patience and so forth, that is transcendent patience. Fourth is diligence, or the courage and belief that you can accomplish your Buddha potential, and the diligence to practice immediately because the future is uncertain. Diligence is, in the teaching it is mentioned, the enthusiasm in virtue, that the joy that one has in engaging in virtue, that is diligence. Like whatever you do nothing but just bringing the accomplishment of benefit to others. So it's just the joy in virtue, that is diligence. So, and then of course diligence, there are many branches of it and so forth, but any diligence that has concept is conceptual diligence. It is not transcendent diligence. So diligence beyond that concept, diligence understanding emptiness or great emptiness, is transcendental diligence. Fifth is meditation, samadhi, or meditative concentration. All sentient beings experience the three poisonous emotions of anger, desire, and ignorance. On the path, as you meditate, these three poisons transform into the three experiences of clarity, bliss, and emptiness, or non-conceptuality. On the level of the result, these three experiences transform into the three kayas. On the path, there are the three stages of samadhi or experiences. This is like the meditation of a child. During the second stage, the attachment to experience vanishes, but there is still a subtle attachment to emptiness. During the third stage of meditation, even the subtle attachment to emptiness has been cut, and the meditator rests in the profound non-conceptual awareness of the absolute nature. So meditation beyond all kind of concept and so forth. In meditation, there is this samadhi and so forth, like very absorbed, very deep and profound meditation and so forth. But if there is any kind of subtle grasping to it, it's grasping. And grasping never transcends from samsara. Grasping can never transcend or go beyond samsara. So it's like the samadhi gods and so forth. They get caught in that samadhi for eons and eons. They remain in that formless state, which is just a state of meditation or mental state, and they can remain there for countless eons and so forth. But then something stirs, and then again, when they realize, they find that they themselves are once again fallen into samsara. So that those are called conceptual samadhi, or samadhi with subtle concepts and so forth. So, therefore, realizing great emptiness, as in the third stage, even the subtle attachment to emptiness had been cut, and the meditator rests in profound non-conceptual awareness of the absolute nature. That is that samadhi of great emptiness. Here experiences may come and go like clouds in the sky, but realization is unchanging like the sky itself. So Lama Tachan, which is quoting here from like the meditator's experience, whatever experiences come, it's conceptual. If you like good experience, thinking that it is good and so forth, it's just it's just attachment and so forth. So long and realization rises and so forth, and if you get caught to it, it is concept. Again, that will chain you in samsara like that. But then true realization is unchanging like the sky. It never changes in past, present, and future. The three kayas are recognized as inseparable because they have never been separate from the beginningless beginning. The paramita of meditation has this kind of powerful results. So, meditation with any reference, with any kind of grasping and so forth, becomes worldly meditation and never transcends samsara. But meditation beyond the notion of I, a meditator, this is meditation, this to be meditated, and so on and so forth, then that becomes transcendent meditation. So, now this, see here, generosity, discipline, patience, diligence, and samadhi or meditation and like forth. These five, without wisdom, it is considered like blind. It cannot take you to Buddhahood. It doesn't transcend you from samsara. So without wisdom, these five practices can accumulate merit, but can never transcend samsara. So therefore, you need to have wisdom. When wisdom is there, generosity becomes transcendent generosity. When discipline has wisdom, discipline becomes transcendent discipline. Likewise, patience, diligence, and meditation like that. Sixth, wisdom, which can be divided into three categories. So, wisdom of listening or education, wisdom of contemplation, wisdom of meditation. So three kinds of wisdom. So, training first in learning, receiving, listening to the teachings thoroughly. Through that you gain wisdom. And then not just reading and listening, but then contemplating like that. And then what you have contemplated, then engaging in meditation. So those are the three kinds of wisdom. So one can gain or one can realize. First wisdom, that of education, refers to the wisdom acquired by gathering knowledge according to samsara and nirvana. Education, according to the samsaric view, involves intellectual learning such as languages, medicine, mechanics, computers, and so on. Wisdom, according to Nirvana, includes all Dharma teachings, commentaries, sutras, and tantras. One must educate oneself thoroughly by listening and understanding without error. Learn as much as possible about Dharma by listening to teachings, by reading, and by listening to others who are knowledgeable. This is the wisdom of education. Until you reach a state free from doubt, study is important. Otherwise, misunderstanding can arise in regard to Dharma, which itself is faultless. The second, the wisdom gained by contemplation, allows a faith born of intelligence to arise. Believing something to be true simply by being told without having looked at it for yourself can cause blind or stupid faith. This kind of faith lacks wisdom. So reflect deeply on Buddha's pure teachings until your relationship ripens and all doubts are removed. When you have established an understanding beyond any confusion as to the infallibility of the teachings, this is the wisdom of contemplation. Until that time, you must continue to contemplate the teachings. So, again and again, when we say, one of our lamas, one of our teachers would say, contemplation is like what you have learned, then implementing. It's like sharpening a sword. So you sharpen your sword, and then keep your sword like razor sharp, like that. Meditation is implementing that one. So when you need to implement, you just need to raise your sword. So if your sword is razor sharp, then it will work. If you never contemplate it, then it's like a blunt sword. So you might try to apply it, but it won't work. So therefore, contemplation is very important. Contemplation here, as Lama Dudjom mentioned, is to vigorously speculate, question, not just having blind faith, but, questioning and reasoning, using logic and so forth, until that conviction rises in you that there is this unchanging or undaunted faith and devotion in the true teachings like that. The third, the wisdom of meditation. So the third kind of wisdom is the wisdom through meditation, is achieved by applying your understanding of the words and meaning of the teachings. Do this without intellectualizing and without error. When we are actually engaging in meditation and so forth, we shouldn't be using our intellectual anymore. This is what is practical, or what is important in our practice. First we need to study, then we need to contemplate. So contemplating is to get rid of any kind of doubt and so forth like that. And meditation is just applying what you have come to realize like that. So when you are meditating, we don't want to meddle with all these intellectual things and so forth. That's what Rinpoche is saying here. So do this without intellectualizing and without error. So when you're meditating, just resting in awareness. You're not resting in some kind of conceptual thoughts and bringing conceptual ideas and so on and so forth like that. We just need to rest in clear awareness. So do this without intellectualizing and without error. Through meditation, you gain realization, which is the true manifestation of the wisdom nature of your mind. Okay. To summarize, the sixth paramita of wisdom means to educate yourself about Dharma without misunderstanding even one word. To contemplate the teachings deeply without making a mistake is understanding, and then to meditate, applying your understanding. This results in the achievements of pure enlightenment without any fault. The first 5 of the 6 paramitas belong to this category of skillful means. Wisdom, the 6th paramita, is the perfectly pure state of Buddha's mind, and is the opposite of ignorance. Buddha's mind is like light. Ignorance is like darkness. So it's just the opposite. Wisdom dispels darkness, or wisdom dispels ignorance. Light dispels darkness. Similarly, like that, Buddha's wisdom is like light. Sentient beings' ignorance is like darkness. The result of the perfect realization of wisdom is, in fact, the accomplishment of ultimate Bodhicitta, because one has attained Buddhahood. So earlier we were discussing these two aspects, the relative Bodhicitta and the ultimate Bodhicitta, or the absolute Bodhicitta. Absolute Bodhicitta is beyond cultivation and so forth like that. Absolute Bodhicitta is already there within our mind's essence. So it transcends cultivation and so on and so forth. It's just the realization. Absolute Bodhicitta is the ultimate realization of great emptiness, the heart essence of compassion. This emptiness is like a corpse. This emptiness is not like a corpse. It has the quality of the unobstructed radiance of compassion. Earlier, relative Bodhicitta was given the example, it's like the beam of light. But this one is the unobstructed radiance of compassion. Emptiness and compassion are completely inseparable. This is the essential point of the motivation of Bodhicitta, and is the most essential point in all Dharma practice. While reciting the lines below in front of Guru Rinpoche, take a strong vow from the heart to truly liberate all sentient beings into the state of Buddhahood. Traditionally, these are recited 100,000 times. The main point is not the counting, however, but the natural rising and development of genuine compassion. In this case, the following two lines are recited with prostration. So remember last week we had two lines that was refuge. And now this week, then we go through these two lines which are the cultivation of Bodhicitta. So, Dane zungte korwa matong bar maju semchen kunge pendedru. And it means from now until cyclic existence is emptied, I shall accomplish the benefits and happiness of all motherly sentient beings. So likewise, then you visualize the refuge tree in front, especially Guru Rinpoche or your Lama. The essence is your Lama, but appearing in the aspect of Guru Rinpoche in front of you, and then you make that, then, standing up, as I told you how to do the prostrations, joining your palms, hands together like this, like a lotus bud, placing on your crown, your throat, your heart, and then go down, touching the 5 spots. Your palms on the ground, your knees on the ground, and your forehead on the ground. And you stretch forward like that. And then you go up like this as you touch the forehead on the ground. That becomes one prostration. Then you come up again. So while doing that, you recite the Bodhicitta, the refuge and the Bodhicitta like that. So that's how you do. So always remember that the essence of our practice is Bodhicitta. So that's how we need to practice. If we don't have that aspiration to awaken all beings, then that's not the path of the greater vehicle. If you don't have that intention of the greater vehicle, then it's a very, very long, it's a long journey. Attaining Buddhahood will take very, very, very long. When you have Bodhicitta, then it becomes very easy. It becomes, like there's joy in the path, in your practice and so forth. Also, it's mentioned in the Bodhisattva path that once you have Bodhicitta, you already realize that your quest, your intention is to transcend samsara, transcend nirvana. Remember, the samsara is the state of suffering. Nirvana is a state of peace. But Bodhicitta and Buddhahood, it transcends these two extremes. extreme of samsara, the extreme of suffering, transcends nirvana, the extreme of peace. It has to transcend. That's why Hinayana's state or their attainment or their achievement of their goal is still very partial. It's some one-sided, extreme like that. So we need to transcend that. So when we cultivate bodhicitta, we need to bring forth that understanding that I want to transcend samsara, but at the same time you have to have that intention that I will never abandon sentient beings. That has to be there. So transcending samsara, but never abandoning sentient beings. So that is, so with wisdom you transcend samsara and nirvana. With compassion you always care and cherish for sentient beings, to bring or to eliminate the suffering of sentient beings and to accomplish the benefit of sentient beings. So this thing, if you have that, then you have unmistaken bodhicitta. That you need to remember. And that's why you pray to Guru Rinpoche as you do prostrations, Guru Rinpoche or Lama, Buddha, Bodhisattvas and so forth. Give me the blessings that I can accomplish bodhicitta, I can accomplish this aspiration of mine, and then I can bring benefit to all sentient beings. So then you do your prostrations and keep counting your prostrations and so forth. Then at the end of your prostrations or at the end of your session, says at the end of the session, visualize clear white light having the nature of nectar coming from Guru Rinpoche. So from Guru Rinpoche's heart or from Guru Rinpoche's body, white light, this is the nature, is like a nectar or like wisdom nectar coming from Guru Rinpoche. It blesses and touches you and all sentient beings, purifying all defilements of body, speech and mind. Instantly you and all beings, like a flock of birds rising up, dissolve into Guru Rinpoche, who then dissolves into the great expanse of Dharmakaya, the ultimate space of truth. Remain in that state, the ultimate bodhicitta of great emptiness. So then once we dissolve into Guru Rinpoche's heart, Guru Rinpoche dissolving into Dharmakaya of great emptiness, then you remain like that. And that is absolute or ultimate bodhicitta. Okay, so that completes chapter 4, Bodhicitta. If you have questions, you may ask.
You said there were 6 things. What do you refer those as?
Perfections.
Perfect.
Transcendent perfection. 6 paramitas. Sanskrit is paramitas. In Tibetan it's called paralto chumba, or perfections in English. It's generosity is 1, discipline is 2, patience is 3, diligence, meditation, and wisdom.
And so those are used for the 4 thoughts of the Buddha?
Your 4 thoughts are your aspirational bodhicitta. So then how you need to engage. When you engage, you have to bring generosity.
Okay.
So you need to have discipline.
You have
yes,
to bring in
the 6 perfection. And 6 you engage in this way. So then when you're practicing generosity, you practice thinking that may this bring all sentient beings to Buddhahood, like that. That's your intention. And then, but you don't have any grasping notion that I am practicing this in order for me to accumulate merit and so forth. You don't have that rigid concept. So once you get rid of that, your habitual concept and so forth, then that becomes transcendent generosity.
Can you please elaborate a little more on the meaning behind I shall accomplish the benefits and happiness of all motherly sentient beings?
How can you benefit sentient beings is through Bodhicitta. And until you awaken to Buddhahood, you cannot really benefit sentient beings. So that's why you are making the aspiration that may I become a Buddha in order to benefit all sentient beings. And it's not just to benefit sentient beings. You can benefit all sentient beings only when you bring them to Buddhahood. Yeah. So you should think. That's why we always say, "May I bring all sentient beings to the state of Buddhahood." That is the ultimate. So we say temporary happiness and ultimate benefit. So temporarily, while they're in samsara, may they have happiness, may they be free from suffering, may they have happiness that never changes, never ends, and so forth. That aspiration there. And then ultimate benefit is may they attain Buddhahood.
Is what?
Buddhahood. Attain Buddha. So this intention is aimed through two aspects. Attaining their Buddhahood aimed through wisdom. If you don't have wisdom, then there is no chance for you to bring them to awakening to Buddhahood. And then all their temporal conditions you aim through great compassion. So to eliminate the suffering of samsara through great compassion, to bring them to the state of Buddhahood, aim through wisdom. So you have to have these two things. Okay? Mm-hmm.
You were saying that you should always wish everyone, especially people who you should always wish that everyone be happy and attain enlightenment, and see everyone equanimously as your mother. What happens if you notice yourself wishing people bad or not seeing people equanimously? What should you do?
Yeah, that attitude, that we need to then train ourselves. We need to get past that. So if like I told you, when you meditate, if you have any my compassion is only aimed to a limited number, or my compassion kind of opts out or kind of removes someone from my compassion, then that is just ordinary compassion. That's not Bodhisattva's compassion. So Bodhisattva's compassion and so forth starts from practicing that impartiality, that we should never kind of regard someone as our enemies and so forth. Enemies have been our friends, friends have been our enemies and so forth. So we have taken so many lifetimes. That's why. So then why should we kind of fall into this habit of ours that we always kind of take side and kind of limit our love and compassion and so forth? So we need to now learn this principle that I will transcend all, I will free myself from this biased habit of mine or this partiality and so forth, then being impartial. So that is very important, okay?
But what if someone is wishing you bad?
Doesn't matter. You always wish them you always wish them happiness. So that's a bodhisattva, unconditioned compassion. If you have any conditions, I will only do good thing to someone who is doing good to me. That's conditioned, yeah? So Bodhisattva's compassion is unconditioned. Regardless whether someone appreciates you, doesn't appreciate you and so forth, your compassion, your love, your joy and your aspiration, your prayer should never be limited to that, yeah?
Right, but I've heard some teachers speak about idiot compassion.
Idiot,
yeah.
Idiot,
where it's like someone's actively wronging you and harming you.
Mm-hmm.
How do you maintain your bodhisattva compassion, but also have compassion for yourself in that situation?
You have to have wisdom. You have to have that wisdom. You have to, if you have any kind of concept like thinking, is this working, is this not working and so forth, it's still conceptual, yeah? So it doesn't matter. You do that person never changes. You keep on doing. And then someone might say, oh, maybe that's like your stupid compassion, it doesn't change that person. You have to do that until your concept Your mind is free from the concept that you are doing this many times, or have done this many times.
So you should let someone wrong you to have bodhisattva compassion?
No, I don't mean that. It's you have to have skillful methods. You have to have skill. You have to skill and have skillful means and so forth. But when it comes to let's say generosity, like you help this person, and then that person, again is in that same situation, and same situation, you help again, comes back to you again, like that. And then you think that I have done enough and so on and so forth. Then you try to limit yourself, like I shouldn't do that. That's wrong. And you should still keep on doing until the notion of yours. Because if you bring any kind of judgment, like saying I have done this for 100 times to that person, this is just worldly compassion, see? Worldly generosity, yeah?
But doesn't sometimes showing kindness to someone who's not showing kindness to you sort of tell them that their behavior is okay sometimes?
No, it doesn't matter. That's why I said unconditioned. It doesn't matter. You think we should be smart and so forth like that. Here in the practice of bodhisattva like that, it always emphasizes that you have to do it again and again and again and again. Then there comes like a realization, or like it dawns onto you, because there is no more exhaustion of your energy or your actions to others, because otherwise then your action becomes exhausted, or comes to an end. The power of your generosity or the power of whatever you're doing kind of becomes weak and so forth. So once you see the emptiness of I who is practicing and so forth, then there's no depletion or there's no exhaustion of that energy or that generosity that can be given to others. So same like that, when you do good to others, regardless, whatever, even if they're negative toward you, but you also have to be skillful that you need to stay away, or kind of, especially if it is life-threatening or kind of disrupts your practice and so on and so forth. That, of course, you need to be smart. But in terms of giving, in terms of doing and so forth, you should still keep on doing and making that aspiration should never be limited, and it should never be stopped. I have done enough for this person, now I should stop doing it, and so never should you think like that. Of course you need to be smart to stay away from danger and so on and so forth. When somebody tries to come and hurt you, you should know to run and those kind of things, of course. But in terms of your intentions for benefiting others, should never limit that I have done till this day, and from this day onward I'm not going to do. So then if you think like that, you fall from your bodhisattva vow, because at that point you are generating some kind of hate or some kind of it's napsamit, some kind of ill will. Nasam, it's like some kind of hate or some kind of ill intention toward that. And if you have ill intention, there's no bodhicitta. Okay. Any other question? Yeah?
question is, how do you? Because when I think about how much I owe all motherly sentient beings, I think like I personally have a deep karmic debt to them, and then I want to vow to repay them. How do you vow to repay without the I?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, in this case, this I, not in the form of like being arrogant and so forth, but in a positive way. This I is okay. This I is fine. So we, when that is there, there is self. There is self. That's like a very strong clinging self when we have ego. But then when we generate bodhicitta, there's that selfless self, that egoless self. Okay? The egoless self is there. So then that egoless self it's like an illusion. You use that selfless self to generate bodhicitta, to accumulate merit, to engage in positivity, and to bring benefit and so forth. So it's okay. It's not like you are getting into another trap of building ego, but this is that selfless ego or selfless self. Yeah, this is the way to practice. So bodhicitta is an unmistaken path. You need to know. If you have bodhicitta, then everything becomes joyful. Every path, every practice becomes free from error if you have bodhicitta. Then if you don't have bodhicitta, then there are a lot of chances of making mistakes, and then your meditation has defects and so on and so forth. But so long you have bodhicitta, then doesn't matter, it's taken care of. Patarumiche mentions that you have never heard of a bodhisattva falling in the hell realm. But you have heard like many Dzogchen practitioners or great Mahamudra practitioners and so and so forth, practitioners falling into hell realm because they never had good intention. See? So bodhicitta is all about good intention, not just good intention, but it's the intention to bring benefit to all beings. So with that, then if they remember, as we were discussing the 6 perfections, that generosity, we're talking about generosity, and when you come to realize that I, who is practicing generosity, sentient beings, the recipient of the generosity gifts and so on and so forth, then you attain the first level of bhumi. The first level bodhisattva is called joyful, or utterly joyful. These bodhisattvas are waiting for someone to cry help, like saying like help. They're waiting for saying, because there's so many sentient beings crying out for help, and they're ever ready to go. So if someone is crying from hell realm, they're ready to go to hell realm like that. So they don't mind, because for them samsara kind of ends way before, because then after, even if it's hell realm, it is the liberated state, or state free from suffering. So they don't mind going anywhere, because they see the emptiness. because they see the emptiness of hell realm. So they can go to hell realm, and the fire is empty of burning. The fire is empty of heat. So then that's how they can bring the benefit that we were talking about, how to benefit, how to accomplish the benefit of others. So Bodhicitta is one. Remember that. Okay, so we'll do the dedication. Page 62. So please practice in this way, and especially you young ones, this is how we stabilize our foundation practice. In the Ngöndro is the preliminary, and within this practice, as I told you, our generation of renunciation, which when we essentialize, we said uprooting the cause of harm for oneself and others. What is the root of suffering for oneself and others? It's negative, negativity, it's affliction, isn't it? So in Buddhist teachings we say that all this suffering wasn't imposed to us by someone else. It is our own creation. We actually planted the seed, that's why we are experiencing the fruit of that seed. So then we don't want suffering, so what should we do? We should eliminate the cause of suffering. That is renunciation. That is the essence of refuge. That we need to eliminate affliction. And then samsara can stop. If we still engage ourselves in negativities and then wishing ourselves to free from suffering and so forth, does not happen. So therefore, practicing in this way and then reciting and being sincere in this way, that I want to uproot the cause of suffering, as a root of suffering, like that. Then reciting the refuge, and then I want to accomplish the benefit, the source of benefit for all beings. That is Bodhicitta, like that. So you practice in this way. Okay. Sonnam diye tamje zigbani tobne nyepe ranam pamjesh kega nache balon trobaye sinbe solen rowan jambe bao jitara kemba dan kundo zangbo deyang de jente de da kungi jesu dalo gewa de dan tamje rabdong de sum shebe gewa tamje king owa gangla chodong akpan Dagi gewe tsawa de gunchang sangbo chen chen rabdo ngowaragi chanchu semcho rimbo chen ma ke panam ke jurichi ke ba nyamba meba gone gondo pewara sho chanchu semdai midra shin chanchu chalai shawan sangye namge yongzong shin duge lenam bangbar sho chanchu semba namgen Roden Tula Gondro Sho Gombo Yene Gangong Ba Semjen Namla Dejur Semjen Tamje Dedan Denjuriching Endro Tamjen Dando Dongbarsh Janju Semba Ganda Sarju Pa Deda Kunge Melamdru Barasho Gewa Diye Gewa Kun Sonnam Yeshe Tsodzor Sonnam Yeshe Lejon Wen Damba Kune To Barasho Rinchen Getso de Yen Roa Kun Tado Dambe Chadam Mirrals Ranshin Dene Zoba Tarchin Ne Chenga Drope Jigden Zebarash Pende Junne Demba Peljuriche Serra Kundo Chalai Jejurich Kelkam Kuntu Tashi Gejuriche Drokun Chamche Sange To Parasho Lam Hasen Gandu Keva Lama go gam zanwar sewan de chondo ku se ringwar sewan chinle dar jinge bar sewan de lama dan jawan member jinge lo gandu ge be ge wan tamje du tore yen den do ke ma ta du che dan che jure che tsuljen drube rangwang ye bar Durian lama damba neje chen nendan sendu chelai che barsho che do ningbo denro. Sede sebe janzo gawarasho seba dambe che ra denje Shimpen Rula Chonga Mebar Sho Lab Chen Jenden Chore Mebar Tamje Chamje Sangye To Parasho Chezul Deyan Nide Kil Koroshin Choge Tadru Kundu Raj Lodre Bemo Rado Geje Jing Sangye Temba Tarshin Ge Parasho Longrik Tepe Mishe Drillet Menga Sambe Tezon Munachon Gomjon Yeke Nelu Jejin Sherab Sumge Nawa Gen Parasho
Kemala Chusamaye Ringaye Che Zame Sasamaye Chapare Jogi Chosoye Nawadam Mire Tusoye
Nandra Riksum Tanga Chegu Ngang Kudan Yeshe Ramba Jamle Sabsan Neljo Chembu Nyamlel Yerme Tuke Tigle Roje Sho Kewa Kuntu Yanda Lama Dalme Chege Bella Longe Sadan Lamge Yente Rabzo De Palde Lame Gofa Yorto Sho Om Ahum Benza Guru Bema Siddhi 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 Om Ahum Benza Guru Bema Tedrenza Benzer Samayanza Sindhi Pala Om Ahum Benza Guru Bema Tedrenza Benzer Samayanza Sindhi Pala Om Ahum Benza Guru Bema Siddhenza Benzer Samayanza Sindhi Pala Om Ahum Benza Guru Bema Tedrenza Benzer Samayanza Sindhi Pala Hum Ah. Okay, yeah. Thank you everyone. Stay well. Okay, Tashi Delek and good night. Hello.